Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of It Was Never Personal with me, Yami Wilfred. Thank you so much for tuning in. And it was never personal. It has always been about love, laughter, music, dance, colors, role playing, balance, awareness, authenticity, not taking the ego too seriously, taking yourself too seriously. It is all about realizing that this is a dream, an illusion that you and I get to co create with the power higher than us. Therefore, it was never personal. Tune in to get inspired, motivated, and mostly importantly, find ways to do so by loving yourself and with that with laughter and joy. It was never personal. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the term I call superiority. Yes, we'll be talking about superiority. Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I really do admire your presence. I really mean it. Thank you so much. Mm. So, what is superiority? By superiority, I mean like that need or that feeling, that want to feel, yeah, that want to feel right, better, it's like I'm better than you, I'm right, you're wrong, and yeah, just like feeling above you, feeling powerful than somebody, feeling like you know everything, feeling like you're the right one. Therefore, I can just sum it up and say superiority is just that feeling or that need to feel powerful than another person. So therefore, you can just see it from the way that I described it, saying the need to feel powerful in any situation. The need to feel powerful in any situation than another person. Yeah. So for you to feel powerful, you have to have somebody who you feel powerful over. So then it's like, oh, I'm very powerful than you. I know better than you. I am right and you are wrong. And if I'm right, then it means that you are wrong. So therefore, I am superior to you. So that is that about superiority. First of all, you seek power. Second of all, you need the other person, because I mean, if you are right and I'm right, who's superior? No one is superior. Who's wrong? No one is wrong. So then, to in such a situation, in such a case, there is no superiority, there is no inferiority. It is just there's just perfection. It is what it is, and there's love prevailing. But superiority, like I'm saying, in a situation where both of us are right, both of us are better, both of us are equal, it means that no one is superior and no one is inferior. There is only love. Therefore, we can say, or therefore, you can see that superiority stems from fear. It's just another form of fear that we as a collective, we as people are really addicted to. We have made it into our way of life. It is within our culture to feel superior, to feel better, to feel right, to feel powerful over another person within any situation. Why? Because we live in a very fearful or a fear infused culture, whereby we are all cynical, we are all gunning for each other. We are all like, I have to protect myself. I have to I have to be secure. I have to really protect myself. I have to take care of myself. And to take care of myself means that I have to be in power, and being in power, I have to be right. I have to be the one who's intelligent. I have to be the one who's better. I have to be the one who has more money. So it's more, because more means what? It means more power, and more power means that you are superior. And if you're superior, then it means the other one is inferior, meaning that they are powerless, and then you are powerful. And then therefore you are like, okay, now I've taken care of myself. Now you have really just calmed that fearful voice that we all have in our minds, that, oh, actually something is out to get me, something things can really fall apart, so I have to really take care of myself. So you can see that even though this thing is kind of like kind of like bad or kind of like not really helpful to us. Like they always say, that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So then it's like I was really actually just doing this so that I can take care of myself, so that I can protect myself, so that I can you know, I'm just doing it to take care of myself, to love myself. But you cannot love yourself by using fearful infused or fear infused techniques, which includes the need to feel superior. Because if you feel superior, then it means that you are superior and over another person. You are superior at the expense of another person being inferior to you. You're saying you are powerful and they are inferior. So there's that kind of like split, there's that kind of like distance between you. Now that oneness that we have within each other is split, there is the other and there is you. So that is inferiority, the need to feel or the want to feel powerful in any situation at the expense of another person being inferior. Yeah. It was never personal. It was never personal. Now that we know about superiority and what it is, so the next question can be, why is this really happening, um first of all, on the surface, or on really be just below the surface of whatever that is happening, this is within our culture. We as a collective, we as a society, we as human beings, we as humans, we have agreed unknowingly, that we have to be there has to be someone who's in power and someone who is not in power. I mean, we don't really talk it like I'm saying right now. It's not something that we really actually agreed to doing it like this. Very literal, by saying, okay, listen, guys, this is how we are going to really interact with each other, whereby there's another one who's superior and there's another one who is inferior. No, we didn't do it like that. But it was we did it in different ways. We did it in different ways, whereby it's like, okay, we used non-verbal non-verbal language. So then it's something that really happened unknowingly, and then we said, okay, this is our culture, this is how we're going to live. So it happened unknowingly, whereby we agreed collectively that there has to be someone in power, and there has to be, or therefore there has to be another person who is not in power, who's powerless, and those in power are in control of those without power. That is what we have actually just agreed to as a collective. But like I always say, it was never personal. Deep down within it, it's not really about us, it's not really about you, it's not really about you. It's just the way the pseudo self, works. The mind made self, or the ego, really participates, or really um behaves. It is just one of the structures of the ego to feel superior, to feel superior. Even like this mind made self will identify, it will identify with anything. But I mean, every ego, number one's thing is just to feel superior, to be in power. And number two, it can be like, okay, so if I'm not in power, then I can be fine with not being in power, which is being inferior. And then it uses other techniques to feel powerful by being inferior. We'll discuss about it later. But the reason why there's this superiority, like I'm saying, is because of this mind-made self, this pseudo self, the false self that we have that we have that each one of us have. So the ego really derives its sense of self from being in power, being superior, and that happens at the expense of another person. Therefore, the ego really needs the other. It's like, I am this, and then you are, you see? So that is how it's actually happening right now. Because I mean, I believe that um, we really think that there is me, and then there is you over there listening to this podcast, and then there is another person who's your mother, and then there's another person who's a little brother, and then there's another person who is the taxi driver, and then there's another person who is a sweet seller, and then there's the other person who is a principal, and then there's another person who is your brother's wife, and then there's another person who is your sister's wife. You see, so then using these concepts, using these labels, the ego is very is it makes the ego for the ego, it is very easy for it to know and really feel that otherness. It emphasizes on the otherness, like, okay, there is Wilfred, that is the other, and then there is me, and then it's like, now there's the otherness. Now I have to feel superior because I already have separated myself from that person, which is an illusion because in reality, there's only one of us here, but I don't really want to go deep in it because uh, it will take time from me talking about what I'm talking about today. But the ego or this mind made self really needs the otherness. It emphasizes on the otherness for it to feel superior, whereby it's like, okay, I am. I am a teacher, right? And then it's like you are a student. So then I feel superior. Oh, and then the teacher is like, oh yeah, I feel superior over a student. So a student cannot talk in class without the teacher's permission. It's like that control and everything. Yes. So then now, like I was saying, we have agreed as a culture collectively, unknowingly, that we need someone who is in power and someone who is not in power, you know, first of all, for just good intentions, but like I said, the road to hell is actually paved with good intentions. You get into a school or into a system such as school where there's a teacher and a student, and then a teacher who's superior over a student is then expected to govern, to soothe, to guide, to teach students, right? Yes, which is fine, which is perfect, which is really, really great. But then this is where now the road to hell is actually paved with good intentions. We were like, okay, this teacher has to guide and soothe the children, right? But then now, because of this idea of or this need to really feel superior, if a student does something which the teacher doesn't really agree with, then they feel very justified. They feel that is very needful for them to actually use that power that they have. And that power, because like I was saying, superiority or that need to feel powerful is not actually derived from a place of love, but it is infused with fear. It really comes from a fearful place. So then that power, when it is used upon a student who doesn't do what a teacher wants them to do, they have to use that power that they have. Now, that power, like I said, is not infused with love but with fear, and therefore they they use the power which is infused with fear. Therefore, they will hurt the kid. You know, and that's the way it works. That is why we have corporal punishment, and it's like, oh, okay, that is how it's going. That is how it goes. But then I was very I remember when I was doing Form 2. Yeah, I think yeah, it's Form 2. And then this teacher comes into the class. He saw two two of my classmates actually making, yeah, talking in class, which is called making noise. But I mean, they were just talking. They didn't even hurt anybody by just talking by that time. But because they were standing up during that time when we were supposed to be reading, which is another topic on its own, because when students are like, okay, we don't really want to read, and then you force them to read, they won't do it. But then because the teacher is in power, the teacher is superior over the student, they can use that power they have. So this teacher gets into the class and he slammed. You can slap kids, you can slap students, but that was not actually slapping. He slammed his hands, and it's a man. So I mean, emphasizing that the man has strength. So he slammed his hands onto the back of the students, and he felt justified to do it. Even we students, we were like, we knew that this is not right. We complained, oh, this is not right, but we didn't have that power, we didn't have that courage to even go and address this case, because we know that, oh, actually he was right to do this. The system takes it rightful for them to do that, to actually say, oh, now you're going to be punished for actually talking during study. But I mean, there are other ways in which you could have, or that teacher who is in power could have um, directed those students or punished those students, because actually we are to be responsible for our decisions. We will all have to suffer for our actions. But now imagine you imagine fighting. Imagine attacking negativity with negativity. You cannot heal the darkness with darkness. You have to bring the light to it. So that teacher gets into the class, slams the students are hurt. And do you think that the students will feel more justified to actually go sit down and read? No, they didn't do that. Of course, they will go down, or they went down and they sat down, they didn't talk. But I mean, they have this rage. They now feel more, they want to actually attack the teacher. So this is what I mean by superiority is really something which is infused with fear, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And it emphasizes on the otherness being there's a teacher and the other is a student. The teacher is in power, the student is powerless. And whenever we are going to use that power that we have as teachers, we would use it we will use it to hurt students, because I mean, the power is really infused with fear. It's like, why do they want to disrespect me? Why do they want to do this? They are being, you know just like that. Yeah. So that is why I feel like it's very important for us to really actually talk about this topic of superiority. It was never personal. It was never personal. So that's that about it. Now, let me give you more instances whereby we have this superiority happening in normal cases. Like, mm, we have it in instances of being a male and a female, whereby males feel very superior over females because of what we have agreed as a society, uh, what it means, or what we define a male as. A male is the head of the family, a male is in power, a male provides for the lady, a male provides for the a male provides for the family. So then the male is in power. So males, or people who are males, then therefore always feel superior over people who are females. And then there's the people, the person who's rich and the other one who's poor. And then those who are rich because they have money, luxury, then they feel superior over those who have less money, or they don't have that luxury. For example, whereby now that person who has money, the luxury, can buy brand expensive clothing such as Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Marc Jacobs, Dolce and Gabbana, so they can have them. And then it's like, oh, this person is in power. They use that clothing to show that, oh, actually, I have more money and you have less money, because you're just wearing, I mean, Adidas, or for some reason you're not even wearing Adidas. You're just wearing something which is much more less than Adidas, because of what we have agreed to, because you are wearing Gucci, to the other person, or to even to you as a person who's wearing Gucci, is like, I feel so good because I have money and stuff of that sort. And then in a case of a school, is like, I mean, there's a student who is intelligent, and there's a student who's not so intelligent, or who's dumb. And then those who are intelligent feel so superior to those who are not so intelligent. And it's so crazy how in school this is seen so normal, because those kids who are intelligent are then the teacher's pets, the favorite student. Those are students who are given opportunities. Those are students who are uplifted. Those are students who can never the teacher cannot really think negatively, or think that student can make a mistake. And even if that student who's intelligent makes a mistake, they're able to really oversee that mistake. But if that dumb student or not so intelligent student makes a mistake, then it's so exaggerated. It is taken so seriously, or taken so personal. because why? That student who is not so intelligent is inferior, and that one who is intelligent is superior. Another thing can be someone who's a conformist versus someone who's not a non-conformist. Like myself, I do really, I do, I do, I do agree that I'm someone who's not really conforming to the culture and some stuff of that sort. I don't really live my way because of how my way on how my parents tell me to do it, on how the society tells me to do it. I don't do it seeking validation. I don't go to school and then I say, oh, I want the teacher to. I don't do that. But then does it mean that when and then they say they can okay, they can be a case when I meet someone who's actually a conformist. Those people who are actually doing things, seeking validation from their parents, seeking validation from teachers, seeking validation from society. And then I'm like, oh, okay, you are following what people are doing, and I'm not following what people are doing. So then I have more power. I'm superior over you because I can do what I want. So that can play over there. And even like when somebody says, oh, I live in Pakalani, you live in Mogoditani, I live in G North, you live in 27, yeah, it really plays as that. Even when you meet a new friend, or you are with your friends, and then this friend of yours really bought a new phone, which is an iPhone, and then this other friend of yours is using maybe a Samsung or maybe a Techno or maybe a Nokia, and then because you and your friend have bought new phones which are iPhones, it's like you're superior over those ones um who are using Android, and then it's like, oh yeah, we feel better than you because that's how we have done it collectively. And even with the social media thing whereby we are chasing after the likes, followers, those with much more followers are very considered superior over those with less followers. And it's like, okay, if you're given two instances and then you're asked, who would you pick to follow? It's like, oh, I'll go and follow that person who has more followers because they have that superior. I mean, it's not like some people know it, but some people really don't know it, whereby they feel like, oh, I'm actually doing it because I love them. I feel like they're entertaining or whatever. But it's actually no. Your ego feels inferior to that person who has more followers, and for it to feel superior, it has to follow that person, because if it follows that person, it feels like it knows more, it's better, it will be able to get that power of that person has, but rather than following someone with lower followers, stuff of that sort. Yeah. Now, this is on a personal level, whereby you are a male or female, rich or poor, clever, not so clever, a conformist, not conformist, where you live, the amount of followers. This is like on a personal level. But the risk that we are running, or the risk that someone who really derives their sense of power or that sense of identity from being a male, from being clever, or from being superior, is that whenever those things that they have used to actually feel superior are lost, you know, or maybe they depreciate or get stolen, or maybe they just disappear or they degrade, everything is impermanent. Yeah, nothing lasts forever. So then by that time that it comes to an end, whereby now, let's say, because you feel like you're so pretty, or maybe you're a boy who has muscles and stuff of that sort, you age and you lose that beautiness, you lose those muscles. Or maybe you can actually use injections and stuff of that sort. You keep on exercising, or you put on those silicones, and then you have those abs which are silicones. You can do it, but I mean, it won't last forever. There's that certain a time where now you have to really accept that, oh, okay, my time has come now, I have to really actually let go of this. But then now, because you have derived your sense of self, your sense of identity, from something which is external, from something such as a brand, or a clothing, a T-shirt that is of Marc Jacobs, from driving a Mercedes Benz when somebody's driving a Vitz, because then you have derived your sense of self from a car such as Mercedes Benz, if that Mercedes Benz is stolen, you will suffer. Anything when anything that I'm describing over here, anything which you derive your sense of power or identity from, is lost, depreciated, or it comes to an end, you will have to suffer because you will feel like you are losing a part of yourself, which is true because the ego actually just identifies with that. It takes that thing to be itself, it's part of itself. So you would suffer. It is as if you are losing a limb, such as a leg, such as an arm, an eye, So it really hurts like that. It hurts like you're being bitten physically, it's like you're being hit by a mob. So then because you are suffering, not only are you suffering because you feel like you've lost something, but you're also resisting what is happening. You are resisting to accept that, oh, actually now I'm growing and I'm having wrinkles. You don't want these wrinkles, but actually what you resist persists. So you'd always have those wrinkles actually. Even you go inject after even if you do Botox after 3 months, you have to do it again. But you will suffer and then get into depression. And then ultimately, if you don't really accept it, then you may even commit self-harm or suicide and stuff of that sort. You know, all this because you just wanted to feel superior. You just wanted to feel powerful. You believe that the power, you believe that you can get that sense of being powerful at the expense of another person being inferior. It's like, oh, remember when I had a Mercedes Benz? So if what are people going to think when I drive a Vitz? What are people going to think of me when I drive that car? So I cannot drive it because I actually laughed at that person who was driving a Vitz last time when I was really riding my four-seater, my two Mercedes Benz seater. Yes. So it's all about that. It was never personal. Now, superiority can also happen at a communal level, whereby now it's like, okay, Wilfred, who are you? And I'm like, I'm a Motswana, and somebody says, oh yeah, I'm an American, or someone who comes from DRC and someone who comes from Singapore, and then it's like, oh, you are from DRC, you're from Africa. Oh, you're inferior to me because I come from Singapore. We have these tall buildings and stuff of that sort, and then it can also happen whereby the two people who are in different politic parties, but then because maybe I am a part or identify with the ruling party, then I feel superior over you who belongs to a party which is not in government. Yes. And it can also happen in religions whereby someone who belongs to the ATR or the African traditional religion is really inferior or is made to feel inferior by a person who belongs to Christianity. They're like, what are you doing? Da, 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 yes. And then maybe I'm a Muslim, and then somebody is a Christian, and then I just really think I'm superior over that person because they don't belong to my religion. So it happens at a communal level. Now, the risk that we are running on a communal level is that not only are we going to suffer on a personal level, whereby now if my party or my political party, which I identify with, which I feel superior, which I used to feel powerful with because it was in government. Now, if it loses the elections, then it's like, oh, I feel so sad. I'm in panic. I'm in whatever because now that thing which I used to feel superior with is now inferior, is not in government, is not the one in power, but the other person's is. So then not are we only going to suffer on a personal level, but we are also going to suffer on a communal level whereby we have wars between those political parties, those nations, and we have arguments within the family about, oh, what do you want to be belong to that religion? Why do you want to identify as a Muslim when we've raised you as a Christian? Why do you want to say that you want to become You want to identify with Sikhism when we've raised you as a Hindu kid, Yeah. And because of this, we tend to have enemies, because the enemies, the person who you are in argument with, the enemies, the person who you are fighting, the enemies, the person who you are conflicting, that is how it is. So all in all, we can see that this need to feel superior is not really working for us actually. Why? Because it is one of the ways in which the ego uh, the ego acts. It is one of the structures of the egos. It is actually, again, something which is derived from a place of fear. You just want to feel secure, and you feel secure if that your political party is in government, because you feel like, okay, this is actually how it should be going. And then if it doesn't go your way, you feel insecure because you're like, I don't trust them. Those people are my enemies. You remember how we don't really agree with whatever they're saying, and then you feel very compelled to bring another person down. You feel compelled to really destroy them, to really diminish their sense of self. You really We then conceptualize other human beings. I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't see negativity if we see one, which is very, very prevalent in the political party, in some religions, in some cultures, in some nations, but we cannot fight negativity with negativity. Yes. So then the next question is, what if we all had, yeah, what if we all had houses in Pakalani? What if we all owned expensive brand clothing? What if we were all males? What if we were all belonging to the same group? Be the group of conformists, the group of one religion, the group of one political party, the group of one nation. You know what would happen? So the thing that would happen for sure is then that no one is superior, and not only no one is superior, but no one is inferior. We are all equal. We then become kind to each other because there's kinship, there's that oneness. We feel that oneness. You're able to see yourself in another person, which is love. You don't really feel like that the other person is away from you or whatever, But this for sure cannot happen. We cannot all belong to one nation. We cannot all belong to one political party. We cannot all belong to one religion. We cannot all have that luxury. We cannot all be males, We cannot all be that, because first of all, that is how the universe is. And then second of all, personalities are different. I cannot like what you like, And then therefore, the reason is we should be able to actually identify with uh, we should be able to identify with being a male. I should be able to identify with being a male, feel good about being a male, but not at the expense of bringing another person who's a female down. I should be comfortable with belonging to my religion, but not at the expense of actually bringing another person's religion down. I should be comfortable with them believing in whatever they believe, and me believing in whatever I believe, because actually there is only one of us here, it was never personal. Personalities are different, but in actual sense, we are just one over here, and we are just having to experience life in different forms, and personality is another form. So different forms, different personalities. We cannot like the same thing. So be able to just say, this is what I think. But if somebody says, but I don't really believe, I don't really agree with you, you have to be comfortable and say, oh, it's okay, it's fine. You don't have to feel like you're being attacked. You don't have to take it as an offense. You don't have to feel like they just hit you with a slap, But which is actually what is happening right now, when somebody says, I don't really believe in what you're doing. And then it's like, oh no, so you think I'm inferior because you don't believe in what I believe in. It's like you think you're superior and you think I'm inferior, then I'm going to react in a way that I show you that no, you're wrong. I'm the one who's actually superior. Yeah. It was never personal. Now, like I said at the start, the ego or this mind-made self can be comfortable with being superior and also be comfortable with being inferior. And in inferior is like, okay, someone who's someone who's poor, someone who's not so intelligent, someone who is who belongs to a marginalized group, is then their mindset, they can find that power or that superiority by maneuvering through their inferiority, whereby now because you feel like maybe I'm someone who's not so intelligent, you would always complain, it's like maybe the papers are given out and then you see your results and you're like, oh, I know this always happens, this is, it's so unfair, I get it, so you complain even if you are someone who doesn't have the luxury of that kid who or that person who's rich, who has a lot of money. Because you don't have a lot of money, like you complain, how can I have how can I be happy when I don't have money? There's You complain. And in complaining, the thing is that when you complain, although it's like you're seeking self-pity, the thing is like, no, actually I'm right because I knew this is going to happen to me. This always happened to me, so I'm right. Like, they always treat me like this. This is what is happening. And then you stay stuck to that story, that narrative, and you stay stuck to it because you feel in power with it. You feel powerful when you complain, because complaining means that you are right, you know better. So then you complain, or maybe you tell the story to other people. It's like somebody who's been abused, and then finally they get out of the abusive relationship, but then now it's like they cannot form new relationships because they're so attached to that abusive relationship or that story, that pattern that way of life that they have lived when they were being abused, so much that when they meet a person, they're like, I know they're going to abuse me. I know they're going to cheat on me. And then they wait for them. They even create instances where that person can abuse them. They even create instances where that person can yeah, can cheat them. And then it's like, I knew you would do this. And then they go around telling people, oh, you know what he did? This is what he did. You know what she did? This is what she did. Because they're complaining, and them complaining, it's like, I'm right. I knew this. I know better. It's like, you don't know anything. Let me tell you the real tea. Let me break it down for you. This is actually what happened, and I know it, and you don't know it. So you have to really say, yeah, let me tell you. Let me show you. I know better. They feel powerful with that, and unfortunately, they feel powerful with with feeling unloved, with feeling abused, with feeling like they're not worth it, yes, but still they feel powerful. mm, they still feel powerful within that inferior area they're working in. So, all in all, superiority is just that need, that want to feel powerful at the expense of another person. Because for you to feel powerful, it means that another person is powerless, is inferior, but it is infused with fear. And therefore, whenever you exercise your power, you will not only hurt yourself, but you will hurt another person because it is infused with fear, with negativity, with those heavy emotions, with those low vibration frequencies. That is that about it. So stay true to yourself. The thing is just that you have to connect within. You have to derive your sense of power from within, and for you to do that, you just have to be able to realize that, first of all, me and you and that person, you and me are one. We are all one, You don't have to feel threatened when you see another person succeed. You don't have to feel threatened when someone doesn't believe in what you're believing, because you know that we are one over here. It's much more deeper than what we see on a personal level. It's much more deeper than what we see on the surface, because with it, below the surface, there's that oneness of us, and we're just here to live life in different personalities. And then you can be comfortable with variety, with difference, with people who are different from you, with that, and just enjoy it. And no need to feel superior, because you are already superior. But if you go to the without, if you use the external factors, the external world to actually feel that power, then you would never really feel that power which you have within. So that is what I had for you guys, and thank you for tuning in. Bye. Ooh. It was never personal.